Hello everybody, hello, welcome. This is Chris Niosi, creator of TOME, animator, writer, etc. And now I can finally officially say this, the voice of both Kirbopher and Zeto. This is the commentary track for the season finale, TOME episode 10. Very excited to finally do this. It's been quite a while since we recorded the last commentary at like the very end of 2013 during the holiday season. It's now been almost a whole half a year later. By this point, we've officially confirmed that we are indeed doing a second season, so now I feel it is appropriate for me to be able to talk about some of the behind-the-scenes things regarding this episode, because I'm going to try to be a little careful with my words so I don't spoil anything. I don't want to give away too many details about what will, after this, of course, be episode 11, but there's a whole lot to say about this episode. I'm going to do this one by myself. And thankfully, we have plenty of time, because this is a really long episode as well. So where to start? Okay, so first of all, so this episode, titled Warring Demons, this was, in fact, not originally meant to be the season finale. It was, well, before I get into that, episode 9, the end of the Gemini tournament, was going to be the season finale for a while. That was what the original intention was. I'm kind of glad in retrospect that I decided to not have that be the end of the story arc, because regrettably not everybody understood exactly what I was going for with Nylocke throwing the match at the tournament and Zeto and Kizuna, winning the match and everything. It was meant to be kind of like, ending on sort of a semi-melancholic note, but also, like, some hope, because, of course, Alpha and Flamey kind of walk off, and they have, they're sort of like, we feel like we've won, But I also felt, in retrospect, that the plot of this episode would have worked a little better as a finale to the end of the season, instead of, as I originally intended, for it to be the beginning of Season 2. That's what this episode was originally going to be. Except for these few opening scenes, which we're still in the middle of right here as you're watching. So this stuff was completely new. When I decided, I want to say sometime after like episode 7 was over, I decided that I wanted to make this be the end of season 1, have it be a nice even set of 10. So this stuff right here, this is sometime after the tournament is over. Alpha's kind of like, become a little bit more confident in himself, but of course, he's still got the forbidden power kind of, freaking him out, and he's not sure quite what to do with it. So these scenes we decided to add to the main story, which, the main focus of this episode, of course, is Alpha versus Zeto, and, the whole, some more reveal about what exactly the forbidden power is, and etc. Although obviously there's still a lot of mystery to it. A couple little cameos to some voice actors I had worked with here. In particular, we have a new character coming up in a minute. This guy, Torment. So this character was originally, you're going to see him in just a moment, he's voiced by Happy Harry. This was actually the character that at one point I wanted Martin Billany, who plays Nylocke, of course, to voice originally. And but then when I just realized that it would be a mistake for him to not be playing Nylocke, I moved into that part, and then I decided to get Happy Harry Partridge, fantastic animator who's been a huge supporter, lovely guy, who he stepped into this character for me. So Torment, and also another character who, unfortunately, when we made this change, I did not have a place to put him anywhere. There was another character named Torture, and Torture and Torment, were going to be partners. They were both going to be hackers, hired to go looking for the forbidden power. After the, I'm assuming again you've watched this episode already if you're listening to this. When Nylocke throws the drain edge with the forbidden power kind of contained inside of it and everything, there was going to be a later episode where Torment and Torture were going to be sent out to go retrieve it, and basically they would have been a more competent set of hackers compared to Raccoon and Doubling, who were just more just making it into a little personal joyride, while doing their quote-unquote job. But I believe this might have been an idea that Liz came up with, or maybe we developed it together. It's been a while. But we decided to move Torment to this episode and make him basically like a creepy, obsessive stalker who hears about the forbidden power and he wants to know everything about it, and he's bothering Alpha about it. Basically embodying what it is that Alpha is so afraid of, and how, like, he doesn't want to hurt people, and etc. You know, of course, this you know, presents a little bit of an issue of, like, you know, I know people are always thinking, like, oh, why doesn't he just stop playing the game, and etc., etc. You know, I tried to portray here that it's just, this game is still very, very important to them, and they still, you know, they don't want to have that taken away from them just because of this. But it's also partially that Alpha, like, wants to figure out exactly what the deal is with this thing, and he wants to, like, put a stop to it, because, you know, even if he were able to get rid of it, you know, it could happen to someone else. So this scene, now I can finally, after all this time, I can talk a little bit about this whole thing. So I think that this was also a good decision in the long run to have this big reveal happen, because I think a lot of people were kind of suspecting it for a while, and it seemed by the end of episode 9 pretty spelled out. I tried to keep it as subtle as possible, but I think most people figured it out. So I thought, okay, you know what? Why don't I reveal this to the audience and not to the other characters? So of course, this was another scene that we added here with Zeto and Kizuna talking, and of course we reveal that, in case it wasn't clear to anybody listening, that yes, Kirbopher and Zeto are the same player in real life. They are two alternate accounts of the same human being. And similarly, well, kind of similarly, Kizuna is also the hacker boss, identified as Tiger Lily, and also the mechanical cat monster thing, as that was kind of hinted at in another episode. And so these two have been, in reality, hiring these hackers in order to find the forbidden power and stop it. Of course, there's a little bit more about that in the short that came after this, which was Plan Z, which kind of details more of, like, you know, what Zeto was thinking throughout the course of these 10 episodes and everything. That was a lot of fun to do that. So regarding this whole change, because so you know, I've talked a lot in the other commentaries about how a lot of these characters changed very dramatically from their original TV Tome Adventures counterparts. So Kirbopher and Zeto were both characters that were quote-unquote based on myself. Like, they were, you know, like OCs, I guess, if you want to use that geeky sort of term. But they were separate characters. They were separate human beings. And I thought, you know what, wouldn't it be interesting? I believe the term is multi-boxing. I'm sure actual people who play MMORPGs and things will you know, get on my case for that. I apologize if I'm saying anything wrong. But I thought, you know, wouldn't it be interesting if they were both different accounts of the same player? And it was almost kind of like a superhero, supervillain, secret identity, dual persona sort of thing. And especially in leading you to think that they're bad guys. You know, having you think that these two characters are in fact doing something bad, when in reality they're trying to prevent something, you know, really awful from happening, which is, you know, where the forbidden power comes in. It's kind of this misunderstanding. And of course, obviously, there's a lot about the complication of it that hasn't quite been revealed yet, but that's the general sort of idea what's happening here. We have some music in this section that Zero Reynolds, super talented artist, actor, musician who I've known for a few years, lent me a couple tunes because I heard some of his music on I think his SoundCloud or his Bandcamp or something, and it just perfectly fit the scene, and I needed to have it in here. So to any of you listening, if you guys, because this isn't on the official soundtrack, as it's not music associated directly with Tome, look up Zero Reynolds, or Zur Jester, I believe, if you want to check his music out. He's fantastic. So this part right here, so this was where I think there's going to be something else before this, but so when this was originally going to be the beginning of season 2, this episode, the plot of this episode, this is about where it would have started. I believe it would have, maybe we would have had like another brief scene before this. I don't exactly remember what it would have been, but it would have led to Zeto sending out that private message to Alpha saying, like, if you want to know the truth and if you want to, like, put this to rest finally, you know, come meet me at the tournament stadium. So this was kind of going to be like another episode in the sort of tournament saga, if you will, which it kind of is, you know, putting it at the end here, the sort of arc of the Balance Stadium arc, I guess you can call it, where, you know, these episodes take place within the stadium walls, between the actual Gemini tournament itself, and then of course this one as well. So yeah, this was the major, you know, meat of this episode that I had originally intended to do, you know, from the beginning. And then decided to move it here, and again, I think it just worked better as, like, because of course also as you know, we have this big fight scene that this was a fight scene that I was really looking forward to doing for a very long time, that it's funny. I jokingly say that getting to animate Zeto doing cool stuff was almost like the driving force behind continuing to do the show, because with like episode 5 we took that break for a while, and and then of course what was it? We had the tournament fight and everything. So a lot of what was happening with that was because, like, oh, I'm excited to do this fight scene or this one part, like this scene right here, this big showdown between Alpha and Zeto. I have been looking forward to doing this scene pretty much since the beginning. This and also the fight between Demon Alpha and Zeto in episode 5 were the two biggest parts that I really wanted to do. It's and Zero's music I think really helped, and just the atmosphere and hopefully our performances, me and Shady. Regarding the performances, so going in knowing that Zeto and Kirbopher were going to be the same person, I was going to mention this earlier, forgot until now. So I tried, and hopefully I succeeded. I'm not sure, but there were a few people that weren't able to tell the difference until it was pointed out. So what I tried to do was make it believable that they were two separate people if you didn't know, but also believable when you did know and it's revealed officially that you could believe that they were the same person. And that's hard, mainly what to give a little bit of the reality of it. So I would record, if I were doing an episode with both characters, and I would record Kirbopher at night, when my voice is kind of like shot, or not shot, but just it's been, like active throughout the day. And then I would do Zeto's lines the next morning as soon as I wake up, and my voice would be lower and more like, bassy and everything. Just to differentiate them a little bit from that like inherent standpoint, but more so what I tried to put emphasis on was portraying them as two different sides of a coin, like two very different very different types of personalities. Zeto is much more confident and a little smarmy and aggressive, especially here. Kirb is much more comedic and goofy, but ragey. Just two very different facets of one person, and have them kind of be, categorized into these two different accounts that he had for two different purposes. Because of course, Kirbopher is just for, him enjoying the game and playing it with his friends and not trying to worry about anything. And then Zeto was more for when serious business like this is happening. Here's Shady's big scream. Was killing him. It's funny too, because I always joked about oh man, poor Shady. I'm killing him every time he's got to do an episode with Demon Zeto or whatever, and he's got to scream at the top of his lungs. And I finally got to submit myself a little bit to that torture, because of course I was when Zeto transforms into Demon Zeto here. I had to scream my lungs out, so I got to partake in some of that torture myself. And it was a lot of fun. I tried to really make it like the virus was just getting utterly out of control. I think I described this in one of the the character breakdowns, but when the forbidden power, this virus, as Zeto describes it, is like taking full control of a human subconscious through the game, through the virtual reality tech and everything. I kind of imagine it like, okay, I'm going to use something really nerdy here. So like a Dragon Ball Z fusion character like Vegito or Gogeta or Gotenks or whatever. I always thought about how does their mind work? Is it like two people behind the wheel of a car, like both piloting it? Do they just meld into one subconscious? So since the forbidden power is all just like, hate, anger, kill, violence, etc., I thought that like crossing that with an intelligent human mind would just deteriorate it to a savage, like a beast, like a almost like a caveman, but like taking it a step further, like a berserker, basically. So that's kind of the mentality that I would go with for when Alpha or Zeto were to be possessed by the virus, and it seemed pretty effective. This fight scene here. Well, first of all, the music. I tried to go, of course, really push myself in the animation. I had some help from Twisted Grim, a good friend of mine. You'll probably notice a couple of his shots that look significantly better than mine. The music also. This is a mashup of Kadget's two compositions of the virus theme, the creepy sort of theme, which also you hear when Demon Alpha is attacking and raging around and everything, and also Zeto's theme, which was in episode 5 and I think briefly in episode 8, I believe. So Living Tombstone, Yoav Landau, who has done a lot of awesome guest music as of late, and he'll be working with us on season 2. He, I produced and a cappella this mashup, and then he arranged it very beautifully, and it worked great. I kind of timed it out to the way that I wanted to do this fight scene and everything. Really tried to push the boundaries every time I do like a new big fight scene for one of the episodes, especially like with the tournament and then even the ones before that and everything. I just really try to like do new and inventive things. There's one of Grimm's shots. Looks way better than mine. He's fantastic. Nico, if you're listening, thanks so much for helping me out on that. I think of what else there is to say about this part in particular. Yeah, this fight, along with just everything from Alpha, and him having that big sort of like conversation about all the serious stuff, and then this fight between Alpha and Demon Zeta. This was something that I was just like really looking forward to, and then of course this next bit coming up where we have the others. Anna and Martin both were fantastic on Nylocke and Flamey in this episode. We had to, this was a little more dramatic than usual. This is probably the most dramatic the show's gotten, because like this had the most like real danger like consistently, because this we had like when the Forbidden Power was involved before, it would tend to get pretty dicey, but just the tone was much darker, and it was fun. It was really cool to do this. I really wanted to do this episode, even on the off chance that maybe we wouldn't have been able to do any episodes after this, because I mean that might have been a possibility. I tried to be a little careful about if we were going to be doing the next season or not, because I wasn't entirely sure, to be honest. But I'm glad that we are, and everything that I originally intended still works. But again, I think that just in general, this worked for a nice sort of cutoff point in terms of like, because when the fight's over, and then of course they're looking over the whole, like the big balcony and everything of the tournament stadium, they're kind of reflecting, and they just want to get back to like, we love this game because it's fun and it's meaningful to us, and it's how we met each other, and we want to continue to enjoy it. Let's just get back to the way that things used to be. No more like any of this drama. And I felt that like Alpha finding the confidence in himself that he didn't have in the beginning, and then growing acceptance for this whole thing that happened, that he's been through. It just worked really well as like kind of a midway point for the story. Yes, that was a Yu-Gi-Oh! First reference. It's all of you wondering. And also I just felt like, Nylocke would do that. He would do something hasty and ridiculous like that. So it wasn't just for the reference. This bit right here with Alpha kind of, teetering on the edge. This was something I added pretty late into development. I decided, now I remember, of course. So in episode 7, if you listen to the commentary on that. So the scene where Flamey's sort of mysterious purple flame thing was coming out, and to try to bring Demon Alpha back to normal. We, of course, learned, we mentioned that we rewrote that scene a lot. Flamey's real name, Stephanie, was revealed in that episode by Neomutant. And we had originally intended, or I had intended when I wrote the first draft of that episode, to, in that scene when Alpha comes back to being normal after she I guess heals him or purifies him, whatever you want to call it, he was going to reveal that his name was Michael. But because we rewrote it and took a lot of the dialogue out, to having the scene almost be entirely silent, there was no point in which we learned that. So I thought, okay, well, by this point, if he knew Flamey's real name was Stephanie, then he would have told her his real name. So I thought, okay, well, then how can I reveal that in a way that's not just like Flamey going, Michael, Michael? I wanted to have something a little more impactful than that. So as a callback to the fact that he had this this whole, like, issue of, like, being unconfident and caring too much about what other people think of him, and just being generally very weak-willed and all that. Which is, what let the Forbidden Power, this mysterious sort of ethereal, virtual being, into him in the first place. That was a good way to kind of, illustrate that, and also just reveal that was his real name, and then it seeped into Flamey calling out to make sure he's okay. That last bit, by the way, that we just went through, Nylocke being like the heavens themselves. So I don't want to. It's hard for me to talk about this because I don't want to. Again, it does kind of have to do with some season 2 things. So, but I'll say this much. So, as you know, again, seeing this already, Webmaster is about to come down and take Zeto up into this into the sun of Tome. So originally, what I had written, I think in the previous draft of this, and I think I probably changed it. Webmaster was going to come down with a heavenly light, and Nylocke would, to the whole joke of like the heavens themselves may open up. That was the joke, and then Webmaster was going to come down and take Zeno up, and I think he was going to say like, he was going to say something. I can't even remember what the line was. And I decided to change that because it didn't make any sense for that to have happened. So Webmaster just comes down, whether he knows that what just happened or not, or whether he was aware of Alpha and the others were there, is a little left up to your imagination. But here he is. Thank you again to Kyle Abear, of course, who came back and performed Webmaster for a couple lines here. And so he takes him up, and also originally something else when this was going to be the second season opening episode. Some different events would have played out entirely different after the battle with Demon Zeta was over. But maybe if I do some commentaries for the season 2 upcoming episodes, I'll go into that. But yeah, just so there's some little remnants of that, of things that changed throughout, but for the most part, it's pretty cohesive. And then, of course, also here we have Michelle Knotts, who is the system voice. We reveal that her true identity, of course, was this character named Kinder Spirit, who maybe we'll be meeting and getting to know a little bit more in upcoming episodes. She was that good enough of a hint for you? But I thought I guess it's worth talking about. So originally, Webmaster was going to be the system voice, and then I decided to change it, and I had Kinder Spirit for a particular reason. So I decided to have her be the system voice instead. So I thought it would be cute to sort of reveal here that that was indeed who that was. That was her doing the whole thing. And then, of course, again, hammering the point home that Kirb and Zeta were the same person, and kind of revealing the whole thing about when you're, not hooked up to the game or whatever, the eyes of your character gray out, and that's where that comes from. And here we are at the end of the episode. Whew, we made it, and of course, this amazing, fantastic medley that Kadget put together of all like the main character themes together of Tome and everything. You'll probably have noticed I wrote out, these are very long credits because I wrote out a lot of thank you messages to everybody. And, I'll say it again, everybody, to anybody and everybody who worked on the show, all of you, Dave, Terrence, Jordan, Nico for helping out, Kadget, God, Shady, all of the cast, especially Anna, Martin, Casey, for going through all these episodes as your leads and everything. Just everybody, all the amazing guest stars that I had, Scott for helping with video exporting, Mark for maintaining the website and everything, Liz, of course, for being so involved with just every aspect, especially the writing. There's just too many people. I mean, just read these. Everybody is amazing for helping out on this. I'm so proud and grateful for everyone who helped out. I really am. And at the moment, at the time that I'm recording this, we have not started doing like the full animation for episode 11, which of course is the first episode of Tome Season 2. But I'm really excited to start diving into it, really soon. In the meantime, of course, I've been, doing, assets and as much pre-production stuff as I possibly can to, in preparation for it. Yeah, I'm really excited. There's so much more. I felt like the arc that I've told, at this point for these 10 episodes and the 7 shorts and everything, were a lot of fun. And Stephen Kelly, of course, the instrumental, the orchestral versions of the tunes that we had on board. He was fantastic. I'm gonna keep shouting out thank yous to everybody. Zero again, for helping me with letting me use his music for this episode. Whew, just to everybody. Everybody's amazing. I'm really excited to jump into working on the next one. There's so much more that I want to tell. There's so many new things that I want to do, new characters I want to introduce, new things to take with the old characters, etc. Just so much. It a little minor retrospective. This was an uphill battle. I wasn't entirely sure how this was going to go, and I really owe it to all of you so much for believing in me and watching. And if you're listening to this and you've been following the show for since the beginning, or if you jumped on like recently, like through YouTube or whatever, or friend introduced you to it, or if you've been like a really long time fan since like my old Newgrounds stuff, thank you very, very, very much. You know, this show is a personal expression for me. It's really meaningful to me. You know, it's only one of many ideas that I want to do someday, you know, with my animation career. You know, I'm about to make some big steps in my life, hopefully at the time that I'm recording this as well, you know, around this time. You know, there's just so much to say, but overall, I'm really grateful for everyone's support. I have one last little gift for everybody. As a joke, we recorded this little bit at the end, this little scene with Nylocke telling a story to the others. This is the fight scene that nobody ever got to see between Nylocke and GC versus Demon King and his partner Emmy, the succubus from the Gemini tournament. I had Martin record a little story of what happened. He made it up. He improvised it, so I'm going to play that here at the end of this commentary. Hopefully, it gives you a couple laughs. I thought it was pretty funny. So I'll play that. Right about now, and hope you like it.
Ah, 'twas a thing of legends. Our battle against the stalwart Demon King and his sultry supporter will no doubt go down in history as the fiercest fought fray in all of Tome. Sir Gamecrazed and I were like a well-oiled machine, working together to parry the blows of the voluptuous vixen, while the formidable former hacker looked down upon us with faux contempt. The succubus almost had her way with me, but ever the dependable duo, myself and Sir Gamecrazed, gave her the spanking of a lifetime. With Sir Gamecrazed busy finishing her off, I turned my attention to the Demon King, who had fully charged his unearthly powers to do battle with I. Nylocke, dragon of enormous power levels! We fought for what felt like hours, my feet barely touching the ground as I parried him blow for blow, my momentum unwavering, his rage unyielding. And then, when all seemed lost, Sir Gamecrazed rushed to my aid, and we landed 1,000 soul-shattering blows, until he could no longer conjure so much as a fizzle of flame. And then, looking down upon our fallen foes, my muscles glistening with pride, we then helped them to their feet to the roar of the crowd's approval. I embraced my fellow fighters, our spent bodies supporting one another, and announced that this fight was indeed one of the greatest for I. Nylocke, dragon of 1,000,000 bested battles! Also, the succubus lady seemed very insistent on giving me this strange series of digits on a piece of paper. Something called a phone number. Most bewildering. Perhaps one day I shall decipher them.
And there you have it, folks. That's it for me. That's it for Nylocke. That's it for the many colorful denizens of Tome that I love and cherish so much, but only for now. And as we have this last little bit of foreshadowing, we will see you all in Season 2. Thanks again.